Hello, all my dear student friends. In this lecture, let us study multi-staging in vapor compression refrigeration system. Now, whenever the temperature lift is very high, that means the evaporator temperature is very low and the condenser temperature is very high. In that case, in one step, it becomes difficult to change the temperature, to reduce the temperature in one step, and therefore we go for more than one step. In one stage, if it is not possible to operate the vapor compression refrigeration system due to several reasons which we will be discussing later on, if it is not possible to obtain the required refrigerating effect, refrigerating capacity, and especially the lift of temperature from the evaporator temperature to the condenser temperature in one stage, then we are required to go for multi-staging in vapor compression refrigeration system. It is just like having the steps, more than one steps. So let us try to study in detail what is multi-staging in vapor compression refrigeration system. A multi-stage system is a refrigeration system with two or more low pressure sides. Multi-stage systems can be classified into multi-compressor systems, multi-evaporator systems, cascade systems. Two concepts which are normally integral to multi-pressure systems are flash gas removal and intercooling. So all this we are going to study in short in the coming slides. First of all, what is the need of multistaging? Why multistaging is required? In vapor compression refrigeration system, very low pressure, that is evaporator pressure, refrigerant vapors, that means the refrigerant vapors which are having very low pressure, that is equal to evaporator pressure, they are required to be compressed to very high pressure, that is the condenser pressure refrigerant vapors, right? So the pressure ratio may become high because the high lift in temperature or the more difference between the condenser temperature and the evaporator temperature. The evaporator temperature, if it is very low and the condenser temperature is very high, then the difference become more, or the lift of temperature against the temperature gradient becomes high. In that case, multistaging is required. When this pressure ratio becomes very high, the size of compressor and work required increases. Thus, COP decreases in case of single stage system. Now, if you don't go for multi-staging, if you use a single stage system and the pressure ratio is high, the temperature lift is high, then what happens is that the size of the compressor is increased and the work required for compression is increased. The energy required for the system increases and thus the performance of the system decreases. uh, the coefficient of performance decreases. Coefficient of performance is a term just like efficiency, right? So that will decrease in case of single stage vapor compression refrigeration system. Hence, to increase the coefficient of performance and reduce work done, multi-staging is necessary. What are the applications of multi-staging? Really, there are places where multi-staging is done, it is required or not. That is, let us see where multi-staging is required, in which practical cases multi-staging is needed. That we have to see. First of all, preservation of butadiene required in rubber industry. So in the processing and manufacture of rubber industry, this butadiene is a substance which is required, and the boiling point of this butadiene is minus 47.5 degree centigrade. So if you want this butadiene in a liquid condition, then we have to maintain it at a very low temperature like minus 47.5 degree centigrade. Otherwise it will vaporize and it will escape in the atmosphere, and therefore we need such low temperature, and for such low temperature multistaging is required. Storage of blood, the temperature is as low as minus 80 degrees centigrade. So in that case also multistaging has no other option. Then precipitation hardening of special alloy steels. For this purpose, for the precipitation hardening of special alloy steels, the temperature required is minus 90 degrees centigrade. For liquefaction of gases for separation, if you want to separate the gases, we can liquefy them. But for liquefaction, we must cool these gases up to the boiling point or below the boiling point, but the boiling point of these gases is very low. If you can have the example, the boiling point of oxygen is as low as minus 183 degrees centigrade, and the boiling point of nitrogen is again very low, still lower, that is minus 196 degree centigrade. For cryogenics also, this multi-staging is needed, and the cryogenic temperature range is minus 150 degree centigrade to 0 degree Kelvin. Remember, it is 0 degree Kelvin. 0 degree Kelvin means minus 273 degree centigrade. Okay, and in that case we are using helium as a medium of heat transfer in order to absorb the heat from the various substances. For example, if you want to liquefy the oxygen, then we have to absorb the heat from the oxygen, but this should be done at a temperature lower than minus 183 degree centigrade. Then that can be done by helium, whose boiling point is 4 degree Kelvin. So 4 degree Kelvin means 4 minus 273, that is 269 degree centigrade. So 269 is lower than minus 269 degree centigrade is lower than minus 183 degree centigrade, and therefore this boiling point of helium is still lower, so it can definitely cool the oxygen or it can also cool the nitrogen. And in order to produce the cryogenic fuels for rockets like liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen, we are using the cryogenics, and the cryogenic fuels for the rockets may be liquid hydrogen. So hydrogen is used as a fuel, liquid hydrogen is used as a fuel, and liquid oxygen is used as an oxidizer, right? So that is used in the rockets. Hydrogen as well as oxygen both are used in the liquid form, and for that purpose very low temperature is required, and for that purpose multi-staging is required. By using low boiling refrigerants, you have to go for multi-staging. For multi-staging, we have to use the refrigerants which are having very low boiling points, and the example is carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide is also an eco-friendly refrigerant. The normal boiling point of carbon dioxide is minus 78.52 degrees centigrade. So again, if you want to further decrease the temperature, then we have to reduce the pressure. Okay, so at lower pressure, this carbon dioxide will boil at a still lower temperature. This is the normal boiling point. That means at 1 atmospheric pressure, carbon dioxide will boil at a temperature of minus 78.52 degrees centigrade. But if you reduce the pressure, at the reduced pressure, this boiling point of carbon dioxide will be further reduced. Similarly, the same case is regarding R13 refrigerant, that is Freon 13 refrigerant, whose normal boiling point is still lower, that is minus 81.5 degree centigrade. And again here also we can say that if the pressure is below atmospheric pressure, this boiling point will be further reduced. So these are the applications of multi-staging. Whenever the temperature is very low, we can't change the condensing temperature. The condensing temperature is always high. It will be more than 30-40 degrees centigrade depending upon the season, and depending upon the uh, position, depending upon the um, position on the globe, depending upon the country, right? The temperature of that place, this condenser temperature will depend. Okay, but when this evaporator temperature is very low, definitely there is a large difference between condenser temperature and evaporator temperature, and this difference in temperature can be accommodated for refrigeration only by multi-staging. Now, why multi-staging is a must? When the compression ratio goes above 9.5, pk is condenser pressure, p0 is supposed to be the evaporator pressure. These are the notations. So when the compression ratio is above 9.5, what are the difficulties in compression? So the size of the compressor is reduced. Excessively large size compressor is required. So the swept volume is large. Okay, and not only large size of the compressor, but the strength of the compressor should also be high. The material is very costly, and this increases the initial cost, especially the cost of the compressor. Large increase in temperature of vapor after compression. So after compression, since the compression ratio is high, the rise in temperature will be high again. Lubricant may catch fire as at this large temperature. If the temperature is too large and it is above the boiling point of the lubricant, it may catch fire. Okay, therefore we must see that the temperature of the system is maintained below a certain value. It should be safe. Lubrication becomes difficult because the lubricant is having can retain its property within a small range of temperature. If the temperature before compression is low and after compression is high, that means the temperature difference is large and it goes beyond the range at which the refrigerant can maintain its properties. So then what will happen is that the properties of refrigerant will, the lubricant will change. Properties of the lubricant will change as the temperature changes, right? And therefore the lubrication becomes difficult. Friction losses are increased. The friction is increased due to the increase in temperature, and that is also undesirable. The running cost of compressor also increases because the compressor will increase more, it will consume more power, more energy will be consumed by the compressor. So the running cost as well as the maintenance of the compressor will also be increased. Now what are the advantages of multi-staging or compound multi-stage compression? Okay. So work of compression is reduced. First of all, the energy required for compression, the work required for compression is reduced. Initial cost of compressor is also reduced. The reason we have discussed earlier, then the lubrication becomes easy because the range of temperature is different. We can use different compressors in different lubricants in different compressors because we are using more than one compressor in multi-stage compression systems. Smaller flywheel is required because the variations in the energy required are reduced, and therefore small flywheel can absorb the small variations in the energy. The volumetric efficiency is improved. Volumetric efficiency of the compressor is improved when the compression ratio is reduced. Okay, so when we are using a multi-stage system, the compression ratio can be split. Okay, so the compression ratio for each stage is definitely lower. The leakage losses are reduced because the difference in pressure is reduced. The leakage losses are also reduced. Leakage tendency is also reduced. Chances of leakage are reduced. Again, the disadvantage of multi-staging. Now let us study the disadvantages of multi-staging, that is compound or multi-stage compression. Due to multi-staging, the system becomes costly, the system becomes complicated in design, system is difficult to operate also, it is difficult to control the intermediate pressure, right? So for example, if we are having the two-stage system, then we must have some intermediate pressure, appropriate intermediate pressure for the maximum efficiency of the system, maximum performance of the system. The intermediate pressure should be optimum, but it becomes difficult to maintain this intermediate pressure at a certain between a certain range or at a certain level. Okay, lubrication mechanism is complicated. So there is a different lubricants are used in different compressors. Therefore, the mechanism of lubrication becomes complicated, right? Now, in case of the two-stage compression, let us study the two-stage compression. So here we are having the PV diagram and the pH diagram, pressure volume diagram and pressure enthalpy diagram, right? So first of all, let us see this pressure enthalpy diagram. Uh, if we go for single stage compression, then the compression will follow this line 1 2 dash for single stage. But if you go for two stage compression, then the first stage compression will be 1 2, 2 3 will be intercooling, because after first stage compression the refrigerant is cooled, that is called as intercooling, and then again it is compressed from 3 to 4. So 3 4, this line indicates a process of compression at the higher level, that is the second stage compressor, higher stage compressor, right? So these are the two steps, 1 2 and 3 4. 2 3 is intercooling, right? Same thing is shown in the PV diagram also. You can see that if we go for single stage compression, then it will follow this curve, that is 1 2 dash, that is for single stage 1 2 dash. But if you go for two stage, then it will travel along first of all 1 2, that is the first stage or the lower stage compression. After that there is intercooling, 2 3 is nothing but intercooling, and then 3 4, this it represent the second stage compression. Now the advantage of the two stage compression is that the work of compression required is lower, and this shaded area represent the saving in specific work. Specific work means the work required by the compressor per unit refrigerant flow rate, per unit refrigerant flow rate. Okay, so this area indicates the saving in the specific work required for the compressor to compress the refrigerant. Okay, so that is the advantage of the two stage or multi-stage compression. So again, the advantages of multi-stage compression system: work done per kg of refrigerant is reduced by an intercooler, volumetric efficiency of compressor increases, uh, multi-staging reduces the chances of leakage of refrigerant, multi-staging use uniform torque, therefore smaller flywheel may be used. Okay, then the effective lubrication may be done. Lubrication is more effective because we can use separate lubricants having separate properties, lubricating properties in the separate compressors. Okay, so appropriate refrigerant can be used. If you go for the lower stage compressor, then we can use that lubricant which is having good properties at low temperature, and the lubricant which is used in the higher stage compressor will be that lubricant which will be remain stable at a higher temperature. Cost of compression reduces, running cost reduces, and you'll find that the maintenance cost is also reduced. Now, what are the limitations of multi-stage vapor compression system? More than one compressor is used, it is required, so that may increase the cost, but actually the cost is reduced because in case of single stage, one large compressor and more you can say costly material which can withstand the very high pressure and high temperature that is required, so that single compressor may be more costly than the two compressors which are used in the multi-stage system, but two compressors are required, that is true. Intercooling system is required. We need a intercooler, that means the complications are increased, more devices are required. System is complicated, this will increase the complications. The addition of the intercooler and the additional compressor and some similar devices, that will increase the complicate the system. Now the cascade refrigeration system we are going to study. It's a very important, interesting method of multistaging, that is the cascade system of refrigeration. In a cascade system, a series of refrigerants with progressively lower boiling points are used in a series of single stage units. So cascade system consists of a number of single stage units. In cascade system, suppose it is a we are using two systems or two stage cascade system, then we require two compressors, we require two expansion devices, two refrigerants are there to actually the refrigerators, one refrigerator at the lower level and the condenser at the higher level, and at the between there is a evaporator condenser, there is a evaporator condenser which is required, right? So the condenser of the lower system, low stage system, acts as the evaporator of the higher stage system. So that all these things you study with the help of figure, then only you'll understand. The condenser of low stage system is coupled to the evaporator of the next higher stage system, and so on. Okay, so as I have told you just now, the condenser of lower stage system is in contact, it is coupled to the evaporator of the next higher stage system, and so on. So the condenser of the lower stage system will reject heat in the evaporator of the next higher stage system, because the temperature at which the heat is rejected by the condenser of the lower stage system will be lower. It will be much lower than the atmospheric temperature. So it cannot reject heat to the atmosphere. It has to reject heat in the evaporator of the next higher stage system, right? The component where the heat of condensation of lower stage refrigerant is supplied for vaporization of next level refrigerant is called as cascade condenser. The component where heat of condensation of lower stage refrigerant is supplied for vaporization of the next level refrigerant is called as cascade condenser, right? So we are having a cascade condenser. Now we have to study this with the help of the schematic diagram and the pH diagrams of a two-stage cascade refrigeration system. So let us see the two-stage cascade refrigeration system. First of all, this is the pH diagram. Okay, and in this pH diagram, this is the saturation curve. This is the critical point. This is the saturated liquid line, and to the right of the critical point, we are having the saturated vapor line. Okay, so this is the saturation curve, and this 1 2 3 4 1 1 2 3 4 1, this is the cycle for the lower cascade refrigeration system. Low temperature cascade refrigeration system is represented by this cycle 1 2 3 4 1. Okay, and the higher stage cascade refrigeration system is represented by these lines 1 dash to 2 dash 3 dash 4 dash back to 1 dash. Okay, and the saturation curve is also different. Saturation curve is also different. This is the saturation curve for the higher stage cascade refrigeration system. Okay, now since you can see two different saturation curves, it means we are using two different refrigerants. We are using two different refrigerants having different normal boiling points, having a large difference between the normal boiling points. And you can see the critical temperatures are also different. Here the critical temperature is low, here the critical temperature is high. So it is necessary that the critical temperature of the refrigerant which is used in the high temperature cascade system must be higher, right? So that is required, and the difference in the evaporator temperature should be uh, very high so that they can be used in a cascade system, right? So The refrigerant which is used in this low temperature cascade refrigeration system will have a lower boiling point, much lower boiling point. Whereas the refrigerant which is used in the high temperature cascade refrigeration system will have a higher boiling point, much higher boiling point. Okay. So this was the pH diagram. Now let us study the same with the help of the schematic diagram. This is nothing but the schematic diagram. So this is the schematic diagram. Now this is the lower stage compressor. Then this is, say, suppose the condenser. Of course it is called as the cascade condenser, right? So but for time being, you just remember that this is a condenser of the lower stage cascade refrigeration system, vapor compression refrigeration system. So compressor, then the condenser. Okay, the refrigerant get compressed, then it gets cooled and condensed in this condenser, then it is evaporated, sorry, it is expanded in this expansion device, and then it goes to the evaporator where it evaporates, and while evaporation it is absorbing the heat and providing the refrigerating effect, and then this refrigerant goes back to the compressor for getting further compressed and the cycle is repeated. Okay, so here this is the low temperature cascade system. Here the refrigerant which is used is having very low boiling point, so we can have a very low evaporator temperature because the refrigerant boils at a very low temperature. Okay, so we can get very low temperature in the evaporator, and this is the low temperature cascade of this total system. Now the question is, if this temperature is very low, then the condensing temperature will also be low. In fact, this condensing temperature is much below the atmospheric temperature, or even much below the temperature of some coolant like water, etc., which is normally available for cooling. So it is not possible to cool this particular refrigerant here in this cascade condenser by normal water or normal air. So we need some substance which is already cooled by some other system. We need a substance here which is already cooled by some other system. So that is again different refrigerant which is flowing in the next system, in the higher system. So that is cooled in this system. It is having a lower temperature, and therefore it can absorb the heat from the refrigerant which is condensed in this cascade condenser and which is flowing through the lower stage cascade system or lower temperature cascade system. Okay, so in order to cool the refrigerant which is flowing through the lower temperature cascade system, we need the refrigerant which is evaporating at a lower temperature, and for that purpose we need again separate one more vapor compression system. We need one more compressor which is the high temperature compressor, which is this compressor is present in the high temperature cascade system. Then we need a condenser. This condenser can reject heat to the atmosphere, to the environment, or say to some cooling water which is naturally available. Then this is the expansion device as usual. And now this refrigerant will enter in this cascade condenser. Actually, it is a evaporator for the higher system, and it is a condenser for the lower cascade system. Okay, so this device or this particular heat exchanger is acting both as a condenser and the evaporator. So actually it is a condenser for the low stage cascade system, low temperature cascade system, and it is a evaporator for the higher stage cascade system. Okay, so the refrigerant which is flowing in the higher stage cascade refrigeration system gets evaporated and absorbs the heat from the refrigerant which is flowing in the low temperature cascade system in this cascade condenser. So this is the important point in this particular cascade refrigeration system, and if you understand this, then you can definitely understand the cascade refrigeration system it is really very interesting. Now let us go ahead to study something else regarding this cascade refrigeration system. As shown, this system employs two different refrigerants operating in two individual cycles. We are having two different cycles, and these two refrigerants are present in these two different cycles. Okay. They are thermally coupled in the cascade condenser. So these two different refrigerants will exchange the heat in the cascade condenser. The refrigerants selected should have suitable pressure temperature characteristics. So whatever refrigerants we are selecting, both for the low temperature cascade and the high temperature cascade, should have appropriate properties. Pressure temperature characteristics should be appropriate. That means the boiling point and other properties must be appropriate. An example of this combination of the refrigerants, which is very common, that is one of them is carbon dioxide. So this carbon dioxide is used as the at the lower stage cascade system. So the boiling point of the carbon dioxide, normal boiling point is minus 78.4 degrees centigrade, and the critical temperature is very low, that is 31.06 degrees centigrade. And this value of this critical temperature of carbon dioxide restricts its use in usual systems, but it is suitable in the cascade system only at the lower stage, right? Because we are using one more refrigerant. This carbon dioxide we are using in the lower temperature cascade system, and this another refrigerant like ammonia. So both carbon dioxide and this ammonia is also eco-friendly refrigerant, and the boiling point of ammonia is minus 33.33 degree centigrade. It is uh, higher than the boiling point of the carbon dioxide. Okay, but the critical temperature is suitable, it is higher. Okay, so the condensation is possible at normal temperature like 30, 40 or 45 degrees or even 20, 25 degrees. At this temperature, well, normally condensation is done by natural air or natural water available. So that is possible when the critical temperature is 132.25 degree centigrade. But here when the critical temperature is 31.06 degrees centigrade, then the condensation becomes difficult, because the condensation temperature sometimes may be higher than the critical temperature, and therefore uh, there is no chance for condensation due to this low value of the critical temperature. But this ammonia is suitable in the higher temperature cascade. Ammonia is used in the higher temperature cascade, and this carbon dioxide is used in the lower temperature cascade because of the boiling points and the critical temperatures values like this. It is possible to use more than two cascade stages, and it is also possible to combine multi-stage systems with cascade systems. So multi-stage systems can also be combined with the cascade systems. Cascade system is different, multi-stage or multi-compression systems are again different, multi-operator systems are different. There are several types. Flash gas removal, that is also again a different thing. But all this we cannot include in this syllabus, because syllabus part is very small for this particular multi-staging. So I think let us go to the applications of the cascade system. Liquefaction of the petroleum vapors, liquefaction of industrial gases, manufacturing of dry ice, and deep freezing. Then the advantages of the cascade system are, since each cascade uses a different refrigerant, it is possible to select a refrigerant that is best suited for that particular temperature range. Very high or very low pressures can be avoided. Migration of lubricating oil from one compressor to the other is prevented. This migration of lubricating oil from one compressor to the other is possible in multi-compressor systems, but it is not possible in the cascade system because these two systems are totally different internally. They are not connected internally, right? Only thing is that there is heat exchanger, heat exchange between the condenser of the lower cascade and the evaporator of the higher cascade. Thank you, my dear friends.